Hey guys, today in this video I'm going to share my quick thoughts on what to expect from DJI's next mini drone. I'm also going to share what features are most important to me and a couple of frivolous ideas as well. Now, before we dive into the details, I think it's important to take a quick look back at where the Mini started. The original Mavic Mini was announced on October 30th, 2019, and in my opinion, it was a great move from DJI. Their previous entry-level drone, the DJI Spark, was way overdue for an upgrade, and if DJI wanted to continue to grow their customer base, they needed an inexpensive, capable, and easy-to-fly replacement. About a year later, DJI released the Mini 2, which fixed most, if not all, of the Mini shortcomings, and honestly, it should have been the drone DJI released in the first place. To me, the quick follow-up with the Mini 2 was DJI's way of acknowledging that the Mini didn't just appeal to new drone pilots, it also got the attention of seasoned flyers who wanted a capable companion drone. The Mini 2 was the perfect no excuses, take anywhere drone and cheap enough to have as a second. So here we are, once again, the drone community is all abuzz with talk of an all-new Mini. If you really want to know what features are going to show up in the next Mini, just head over to Autel Robotics website and look up the specs on their recently released Nano series drones. These Nano drones easily best the Mini 2 with features such as larger camera sensors, wider aperture lens, autofocus, more megapixels, HDR photos and videos, as well as forward and rear collision detection, all in a sub 250 gram drone. Autel has set the bar for DJI to beat, and I would expect DJI, being the market leader, will match Autel feature for feature and probably throw in a few extras too. I wouldn't be surprised to see 4K 60 frames per second video and hyperlapse, but if DJI really wants to raise the bar, maybe longer flight times, better wind resistance, and perhaps even an all-new remote and OcuSync 3.0. There will be limits, of course, because although DJI wants to stay ahead of the competition, they also need to be careful not to poach sales from their larger and more expensive drones. Which brings me to my next point. Will there be a Mini Pro? Well, the current Mini lineup is made up of two drones, the Mini 2 and the Mini SE. If DJI is going to give the Mini 2 a huge boost in capabilities, it makes sense to me to fork the Mini line into base and Pro models. The current Mini 2 becomes the new SE or base model. DJI keeps it exactly the same, except drops the price just a touch to get it closer to the price of the current SE. The Pro model, on the other hand, is going to be the best sub 250 gram drone on the market. Almost as capable as the Airline, with a price maybe 100 to 200 bucks cheaper. The Mini Pro will be the perfect companion drone for the enthusiast who wants all the best features in a sub 250 gram package. And that's it. That's simple. So what would I want to see in a Mini Pro? First and foremost, camera improvements. I want a bigger sensor and a faster, better quality lens. Moving the Mini up to the Air 2's half-inch sensor would be a great place to start. A bigger camera sensor typically means larger light-gathering photo sites, and that means better low-light performance and more dynamic range. If DJI bumped up the camera sensor and lens to the same specs as their Pocket 2, a 1/1.7 inch sensor, and a 20mm f1.8 lens, that would be pretty exciting. Along with upgraded camera hardware, I would love to see 4K 60 frames per second video, hyperlapse, HDR photo and video options, and while they're at it, they can throw in Cine-like color profile too, because after all, it will be a Pro drone. Next on my list would be collision avoidance. When I'm out there concentrating on getting the shot, it is so easy to miss hazards. Not only that, trying to get in tight on your subject when your drone is far away from you, I find is always a nerve-wracking experience. At the very least, I want the Mini Pro to have forward and rear collision sensors, which is going to make flying a lot safer. With obstacle avoidance, I would also expect the Mini Pro to gain active track, which I would also love to have. Extra flight time would certainly be a welcome upgrade too. Now, don't get me wrong, 30 minutes of airtime is pretty awesome, but you know how it is. You always want a few minutes more. So any improvement in flight time would be great, but more important than that would be battery compatibility between the Mini 2 and the Mini Pro. When DJI released the Mini 2 and allowed it to use mini batteries, it was a really nice surprise. Leaving the battery form factor unchanged so the Mini Pro could use batteries from the Mini 2 and still be under 250 grams would be awesome. And yeah, that's basically it for me, but I do have a couple of other frivolous suggestions for DJI. You guys remember the Spark, right? Well, I sure do. And after moving on from the Spark to the Mini and then the Mini 2, the thing that drives me crazy the most are those fiddly screw-on propellers. Tiny, easy to lose screws, too many bits and pieces, you need a screwdriver. They're just a pain. I would love to have quick swap propellers on the Mini Pro, even if they cost twice as much. And while you're at it, DJI, why not make some colorful propeller options too, just for fun? And speaking of color, remember how the Spark came in 5 colors? Like, can't we have some fun, colorful options for the Mini? I don't know about you, but I'm sick of boring old DJI gray. I mean, just look at that bright and bold Autel orange. Like, how awesome is that? So hey, DJI, if you're listening, how about some quick swap propellers and some colorful options for your best-selling drone? Come on, let's have a little fun here. Well, that's it for this one, guys. My thoughts on the next DJI Mini drone. I would love to hear what you think, so please leave a comment below and tell me your thoughts on the DJI Mini 3 or DJI Mini Pro or whatever you think it's going to be called. And as always, thanks so much for watching. Hit that thumbs up if you enjoyed this video, subscribe if you haven't already, and yep, you guessed it, I will see you in the next one. Bye.